Hello. This story is called Eden's Forbidden Fruit, Innocent to Beast. Alright, let's take a look here. In the cradle of Eden, where rivers sing and leaves whisper secrets, Adam and Eve wandered beneath the sky woven with starlight. Their hands brushed the velvet petals of flowers. Their feet kissed the dew of untouched meadows. The garden was a symphonic of innocence, a world without hunger or shadow. And at its heart stood the tree, its branches heavy with fruit that pulsed like living heart. Red as dawn, slick with the sheen that seems to bleed. Do not touch, the voice has warned, its timber woven into the wind. Its knowledge is not yours. Adam and Eve, pure as the morning, nodded and turned away, content with the endless bounties of Eden. But the serpent was old, older than the rivers, its scales glittering with the memory of forgotten stars. It slithered to Eve, its voice a low hum, like the pulse of the forbidden fruit. Taste it, said, and see what lies beyond innocence. Eve hesitated. Her eyes traced the fruit's crimson curves. It was beautiful, heavy with promise, its surface gleaming as if it reeked blood. She reached, her fingers trembling, and plucked a single fruit. It was warm, throbbing faintly in her palm. Adam watched, his breath catch as he bit. The juice ran red, staining her lips, her chin, her hands. A taste of iron and fire, of life and death intertwined. She offered to Adam, and he too tasted the forbidden. The words shattered, their eyes once sharp as a fawn's sharpens. The garden colors grew velvet, jagged. They saw the veins in the leaves, the rot beneath the surface, the hunger in the eyes of the beast. Innocence fled like a startled deer. Their hearts pounded, ravenous, no longer saddened by berries or peace. They craved meat, the pulse of life, torn raw from bone. They hunted, their hands no longer gentle, their mouths stained with more than fruit. The garden reeked, its rivers clouded, its flowers wilted, and Adam and Eve, once children of light, became beasts of want. Their shadows long and jagged, their voice returned heavy with sorrow. You have chosen, it said, now leave. Exiled, they walked into the wood of thorns and dust, the taste of blood still on their tongues. Behind them, the tree stood silent, its fruit still bleeding, waiting for the next to fall. Yeah, let's see here. The exile was not merely a banishment from the garden, it was a first fracture in the great chain. When the father took flesh and laid with the mother, the union birthed Adam, the first true son of both. In him ran the silver blood of the heavens and the red clay of the earth. He was the living bridge, the first champion of the white dragon, whose wings were drawn and whose breath is mercy. His task was simple and terrible: to stand upon the ridge of the world and keep the red dragon bound in the abyss. The red dragon, ancient hatred clothed in scales of molten iron, desired only to devour the chain and sever every soul from the father and mother forever. But Adam looked upon the woman taken from his own side, and something new stirred in the silver red blood. Love, fierce and possessive, eclipsing obedience. When the red dragon whispered through the serpent's mouth, she would die without you if you remained obedient. Adam chose. He reached with her, ate with her, fell with her. In that moment, the chain cracked. The white dragon roared in grief, and the red dragon slipped his first cord around the throat of mankind. Pain entered, suffering followed like a shadow. Childbirth became a sword, the ground a curse, and death a gate that would not stay shut. Yet the fracture was never complete, because Adam was a son of both. Every child born of woman carried a silver red blood. Every heart became a battlefield where the white dragon and the red dragon contended. Some heard the white dragon's distant songs and choose mercy, sacrifice, truth. The earth drank their blood and bore quiet fruit. Others opened wide to the red dragon's furnace breath and choose pride, violence, dominance. The earth drank the blood and bore thorns. During the age that raged, the war raged unseen. There was Abel, whose blood lambs cried out in white accusation. There was Noah, who built against the flood of the red dragon's wrath. There was Abraham, who raised his knife and heard the white dragon stay his hand. There was Moses, who left the serpent of bronze so that those bitten by the red might look and live. There was David, who slew the giant, yet fell to the red dragon's whispers in a single night of lust. Pro- Prophets rose and were thrown under. Kings rose and was eaten from within. Every time the white dragon won a battle, a little more of the chain was mended. Each time the red dragon tasted victory, the fractured widened and the war groaned louder. At last, when the rune in the chain gasped wide, the father and mother moved again. The father sent the fullness of his own spirit into the room of a virgin who was really the mother's daughter. The child born in Bethlehem carried no fracture. In him, the silver blood and the red clay was perfectly joined, with no cracks for the red dragon to exploit. He was the final champion. Men called him Joshua. The red dragon knew him the moment the stars burned above the stable, and every claw, every fang, every kingdom of earth was turned against him. They nailed him to a tree between two thieves. On that tree, the white dragon and the red dragon met in final combat. The red dragon struck with death, here, and the combined sin of every cracked heart since Adam. The white dragon answered with a single silent act. He forgave, he bore, he descended. 3 days later, the earth quaked, the chain blazed white hot. The tomb stood empty. The red dragon was not destroyed, but his backbone was broken. The mortal rune was dealt. From that day forward, every soul that chose the wounded, victorious champion is rewoven into the chain without fracture. The silver blood and the red clay sing together again. Yet the war staggers on because choices remain. The red dragon, mortally wounded, thrashes in his death throes, and the earth is scorched wherever its tail sweeps. Empires still rise drunk on blood. Children are still devoured. The fracture still aches in every human's heart. But the final champion is no longer merely coming. He has come, has risen, and now stands at the ridge of the world with scarred hands and undimmed eyes. And he is gathering the last generation of champions. When the full number is complete, the white dragon will descend in open glory. The red dragon will be cast down forever. The chains will be made whole. Pain and suffering will be remembered only as a force that tampered the unbreakable. And Adam's children will walk again with the father and the mother in the garden where no serpent speaks, no fruit bleeds, where love and obedience are the same thing that lasts. In the long shadows between Eden's closing gates and the final champion's dawn, the red dragon, still bleeding from the chain's first crack, found new servants. The fallen ones had been among the first to choose. Once they were stars in the Father's court, bright messengers of the white dragon's song. But when Adam fell and the silver red blood became fractured, Many of them looked upon the daughters of men with lust that was not love. Why should the clay alone test the flesh of the wood? They whispered among themselves. We are spirit and fire. Let us take what the red dragon offers. So 200 of them, called watchers in hidden tongues, descended upon the high places of the earth. They cast off their heavenly forms and took the shape of men, beautiful and terrible. The women of that age, already carrying the fracture from Adam's choice, saw them and was drawn. The fallen angels taught them sorcery, the cutting of roots, the forging of weapons, the secrets of stars turned to war, and they laid with them. What the history carved in stone and later ink never did record was this. The fruit of those unions was not mere giants, it was abomination. The mothers swear not with children, but with something that hungered from the first spark of life. The bellies grew taunt and vain like the forbidden fruit itself, pulsing red. The offspring inside, the Nephilims, the half angel giants, did not wait for birth. When the limbs were strong enough to rend, they turned inward, teeth like flames, claws like iron hooks. They tore and devoured their way out through muscle and bone, through the very room that had sheltered them. The mother screamed once, twice, and then was silent forever. The bodies left as hollow vessels in the field and caves where the newborn giants rose dripping, already towering, already ravaging. The earth drank that blood and groaned louder than it had since Abel's murder. These Nephilims were the red dragon's new champions in the open. They ate the flesh of men as easily as they eaten their mothers. They drank the blood of the innocent and called it wine. They taught the fractured sons of Adam to build towers that scraped the heavens and altars that ran with the blood of their own children. Cities became slaughterhouses. The silver red blood in humanity ran thicker and redder with each generation. The white dragon song drowned beneath the roar of the giants. The mother and father saw it and grieved. The white dragon wreaked fire across the sky. Yet still the choice remained. Some women, even in those days of horror, chose mercy and fled to the high hills with the few who still listened to the distant song. Some men refused the fallen angels' weapons and kept their hands clean. The chain, though cracked, was not yet shattered. Then came the flood, not merely water, but the white dragon's own breath turned to judgment. The giants drowned with the mother's screams still echoing in their ears. Their bodies sank into the deep, and the waters covered the evidence that history would later soften or erase. Only the fractured bloodline survived through Noah, the champion of that age who carried the silver red link unbroken enough to begin again. But seeds remain. The red dragon, ever cunning, let some of his fallen ones survive in chains beneath the earth. Their half breed children left echoes, tales of giants in the land of Canaan, of Aramkim and Raphaim, that later champions would still have to face. The hunger they planted never fully died. It hid in the blood, waiting for every heart that would choose the red over the white. Even after the final champion rose and broke the red dragon's spine upon the tree, the old corruption lingered in the soil of the wood. Some still hear the watcher's whispers in dreams. Some still feel the ancient hunger stir when power of flesh calls louder than mercy. The stories of the mothers torn from within is not written in the open scrolls of the Bible. It is written in the hidden marvels of every human heart that has ever chosen the red dragon's path. A warning that when spirit and clay join without the mother and father's blessing, the offspring is always death from the inside out. The battlefield is still your heart. The giants are quiet now, but they walk in new skins. The chain can still be mended in you. Well, let me know what you think of the white dragon and the red dragon. Thank you.